Hi, hello, namaskara. This is your host Sarang, and welcome to another episode of One Story at a Time. In this episode, we have Siddarth, who is a 11th grade student from Chennai, who runs digital agency already with a lot of clients and making money in dollars. He also had, I would say, it was a startup which successfully failed, and I think we have a lot to learn from Siddarth and his experience. So let's jump into the podcast right away. Hi, Siddarth. How are you?
Hi, bro. Doing well, doing decent enough.
Amazing. So, Siddarth, why don't we start with your background? So,
Okay.
what do you do? Which school do you go to? Where are you based out of? And also give us a bit about your routine as a 11th grade student.
Okay. Lovely. First, Sarang, bro, thanks for this opportunity. You're doing great with Inovact Social. And you recently signed an MOU. I saw that LinkedIn post. Great work. Hi,
Thanks.
guys. I'm Siddarth Vijay Anand, and I'm from Chennai. I'm currently studying in a school called DAV Palikarnai, which is here in Chennai. It's a new school. And I'm currently having my own agency, but previously I was working on my own startup called Hire Choice. And the routine part, uh, my routine is pretty simple, guys. In the previous day, I write whatever tasks I have to do for the next day and plan my day accordingly. 8 hours of everybody, most of our days goes in school, work, or anything else. But the rest of the day, you can plan it pretty nicely, and that's what I do. It's very dynamic. There's no fixed points like 5 to 7 study and all that. It's very dynamic, changes every day. But I have gotten pretty good at time management in the last year.
Perfect. So, I do the same thing, Siddarth. So, every day before I sleep or as soon as I wake up, I make a list of to do tasks. And, I try to make sure I complete 80% of
Yeah.
what I've written down. So, we're on the same page there.
That's the key point. 80%. Like
80%.
nobody can do it the 100% thing. Most of us cannot because it is so dynamic and has so much things going on.
Exactly, exactly. And on top of it, you have school, you have to manage your
Yeah.
studies, and then you have your agency and a lot of other things to
Yeah.
do. But man, I'm really happy to speak with people like you because you're still in 11th grade and you have ambitions that your peers might not have. Most of your peers might not have. So it's always feels nice to speak with folks like you. So okay, I also remember talking to you about your journey in the stock market.
Yeah.
The reason that I got connected with that particular journey is because I started investing when I was 18 years old.
All
Okay,
right.
when I got into engineering, I started investing, and from the time that I started investing, I developed interest in the financial markets, and I
Mm-hmm.
also started trading. I was doing day trading. I did a couple of swing trading, and to be honest, I did it for about 2.5 years. Um, Met with a lot of mentors, learned from a lot of people. But ultimately, once Inovact was also born, I was not able to manage both of them, and Inovact started to scale. We started seeing growth in Inovact, and I have temporarily paused trading. So tell me about your investment journey. Have you invested in stocks? And I mean, you're still in 11th grade. You're not legally allowed to invest in stocks.
Okay.
How did you do it?
First of all, I did not invest with my own Demat account because again, it's illegal to have your own Demat account before the age of 18, or it's not possible, moreover. And the investing journey is moreover with the help of my peers and internet. When you're stuck in COVID, the only thing you could do is watch TV. And why watch some kind of shows when you can watch something that could help you potentially? So most of my feed is filled with all these kinds of investing. The feed has changed a lot over the years, but at the time it was either something related to robotics or investing. Robotics, I went to this thing called SP Robotics. It was a chain of robotic classes. I went there. Okay? And investing always picked me. And my friend Sashwat was really into financial markets, and he pulled me in. I have invested in stocks with the consent of my parent. Here it particularly, guys, with the consent of my parent and my parent's Demat account under their view, that is legal. Okay. Without the consent of your parent, you cannot do it. And I gotta say, I did pretty well for the 2, 3 months I did it, but I couldn't continue it due to capital restrictions.
I understand. I understand. And it's very important, when it comes to money, it's very important to have consent from parents. and especially you're not 18 yet, right? And there's a lot of scams going on around financial markets, investing, mutual funds, all those things. But it's good that you took your parents' consent before investing, and it's always a good habit to start investing early. But you have to invest in the right spaces, in the right stocks, in the right
Yeah.
assets, and you should have abundant knowledge about what your money is getting into, right? But anyway, you
I will
have
just add a small point here. I would say I got lucky because half of the things I did was I just bought and sold Arani Green Energy. I bought and sold it at 2000, 2300. Now I saw it yesterday, it was close to 950. I was
yeah,
shocked. But I
yeah,
could have, but that's when I realized I could have shorted it. But it's too late.
yeah. Adani Green. I remember buying at 350 rupees. Okay, but I was an amateur investor back then. That was probably 4 5 years back, and it went down, what, 20 rupees, and then I got panicked and I sold it. But that was my first realization where okay, if I'm investing for the next 5 10 years. So since then I've
Yeah.
not sold any of my stock. So yeah, anyway, moving forward, I think it's more interesting for us to talk about your startup, because that's where you have got a lot of experience. You've learned a lot of things, failed at a lot of things, right? So your first startup was Hire Your Choice, correct?
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about how you identified the problem or the idea that you had, and how Hire Your Choice was born.
Okay. So, uh, the whole journey was about 1.5 years from April 2020 two to current June, July 2023. That was the whole journey. It was after my ninth finished, ninth exams finished. Me and my friend Sashwat, again, the same guy, are sitting in his apartment. That was the time Shark Tank, abroad Shark Tank, US, Australia was starting to gain traction in India. So we wanted to create some startup. And we were just every day 2 to 3 hours staring in front, sitting in his room, staring through the window, thinking of the next billion-dollar idea. And we thought we landed on one that was higher choice. The problem was pretty simple. Uh, as both of our mothers, when they wanted to hire like makeup artists or all that, they need to do it in advance, like 1 week ago, 2 week ago. That too, most of the only option was like I guess it's called urban center now. I don't know what it's called. They changed the name, but it was urban class. And and there was a problem also. You cannot negotiate, and there was a lot of issues because and there was also the time when there was voices that they are not fairly paid, they are like misuse and all that. So what we wanted to do was basically build a Fiverr like platform or an Upwork like platform, but just for lifestyle artists, just for people like makeup artists, nail technicians, hairstylists, and whole that genre of lifestyle. And we built it up eventually after 7 8 months of hard work, and we launched it. That was the whole story. The single pain point was every business has this pain point they're serving to, and our pain point was we need to give full autonomy to all these lifestyle artists to keep their prices and to accept work only they are willing to, and not forced to do that work because urban clap is telling them to do that.
Got it. Understood. So, I believe in this particular statement, right? I strongly believe. I think I've also made this up. I think new age startups are mostly a result of the founder's personal experience. That's what I believe in.
Very true. Very true.
And I think that's the same case with you, right? You saw what was happening with your mom and your friend's mom in finding lifestyle artists, and that was the pain point that you caught upon, and then you wanted to solve it, right? We will talk about your startup journey, but meanwhile I would also like to speak about your coding journey, right?
Okay.
I remember you speaking about how you started to code, how you learned coding, and all those things. So, as a student, as a 10th grade student or 11th grade student, how were you introduced to coding, and what were your favorite programming languages? Follow
Okay.
up question: have you worked on any projects?
Okay. So my coding journey started, I told like I went to a robotics class. That's where my coding journey started actually. We used to build robots using Arduino. Arduino runs on a programming called C Sharp. And that's when I was completely new to coding. I had no idea. I was introduced. Actually, honestly speaking, I didn't learn any coding from SP Robotics because under every video, Most people don't know this, but if you can click and download the code, and
Yeah.
it's there. But most people start try to code. I took the lazy route. I took the other route, and I just downloaded the code and did it. But uh, I would say the better option would have been to learn, but my coding journey again started back when I was building higher choice. I was pretty clear on only learning languages that would aid me to build a product. I learned enough to build a product, nothing much, nothing less. I consider myself a very decent coder. I'm not this exceptional child prodigy who started coding at 9 years old. That was not the case. That was truly a painful journey to learn coding because most people simplify the whole task of learning to code. Probably Sarang for you to have this idea. Most people simplify it too much. People think coding is just Lego blocks building on top of each other. That's not how it truly works. Coding is way more complicated with back and front and different lines of code merging together. But my favorite coding language till now has been Python. And currently, I've been learning TensorFlow, which is also based on Python. It's a framework to build artificial intelligence, TensorFlow. So I've been doing that. And the simplification whole thing is now gone. Python is really simple to learn. So my favorite is Python. Second is JavaScript with React because that's what helps us to build web apps.
Perfect. And higher choice was a web app, right?
Yeah, iRachel was built on a stack called with a stack of React on the front end and Node as the servers and Firebase as the server.
Okay, perfect. So you learned coding through a jugaad way, if I can say that.
Yeah,
You learned coding through a jugaad way. And
yeah.
yeah, so again, coming back to your startup journey, did you start building the web application on your own?
Okay. Full disclaimer, guys. Full disclaimer. It's probably a suggestion to most of you guys who are trying to start a startup. Always, most of other guys already have phone. Take your phone, point a person who's already on the niche you're trying to work on and get their mentorship. I was fully mentored. I'm not gonna lie here and say I'm Steve Jobs, I have the exceptional brain in the world. I was completely mentored through the process. That's why I say I could launch the product in 6 to 8 months. If you're starting to learn to code and starting to develop product, the realistic line would be close to 2 years. Because coding itself is a huge skill you should acquire first to build a product. And however jugadi you may be, Stack Overflow, ChatGPT, all that doesn't work when you're coming to build a product. The reality is that you need to know how to code. You need help to code when you're starting out. I was mentored from a family friend. He has a software company. He mentored me, and I got help from his software company's developers. That's why I was able to develop the product, and that's why I say I was a very avid coder. I got help from them in processes where I couldn't figure out what to code. They had years of experience. They helped me through all the way, and I'm really thankful for that.
Yes, I think you got lucky with that. A lot of
Yeah,
students struggle with finding a mentor, right? And a mentor can be anyone. It can be someone who you would want to learn coding from, or you might want to treat them as a life mentor or a startup mentor, right? It's really lucky that you got somebody to mentor you. And I think finding a mentor is really important for everyone
yeah,
because it decreases your learning curve, right? And as you rightly said,
yeah,
if you would have started learning to code, it would have probably taken you 1.5, 2 years to build the web app. But since you had a mentor, you were able to do it in 6 to 8 months, right?
yeah.
Okay. Anyway, moving
And one
forward.
more small point, bro. It's like I would say it's a very contrarian opinion. It's not the public opinion. It's not through the ocean, but it's really simple. Most people hesitate to ask for help. I've seen it a lot. Most people think asking for help is showing themselves as a weakness. It's like
Yeah.
I would say it's not egoistic. It's more ignorant. Like I'll take care. Whatever happens, I'll take care. It's but asking for help is such a small thing, and people are more ready to help everybody. They are not that bad. People are ready to help everybody when they are in a problem. So asking for help is the perfect way, and don't be ignorant towards people when they're giving advice.
No, absolutely right. Absolutely right. You have to be shameless in asking for help, especially if you want to grow.
Exactly.
You can't do it. You can't do everything on your own. You need smart people beside you, right? I mean, smarter
Exactly.
people beside you, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that being said, let's come back to your startup story. Okay, so you
Mm-hmm.
started to learn coding, and you got a mentor, you started doing React, Node, JavaScript, everything, and then you did a bit of Python. So now let's come back to your startup story. What happened after this? How did you develop the product, and what happened later on?
Okay. First, the part of developing the product. 6 to 8 months of pure mess, pure chaos. I'll tell you why. When you're 10th standard and you have board exams that year, when your marks drop, your home goes into absolute chaos. And that's what happened to me in the second exam of 10th. I still remember this vividly. I got my papers for 40 marks, like average cycle test. I got my papers. Social 24, science 28. I was doomed at home. Honest story, I was doomed. 1 month it took me to regain the confidence of my parents and start working on something else because the next test was 1 month away. And when you're doing all this, you need to have a lot of balance. And the product should have taken lesser time if I didn't have my 10th exams going on. Because when you're in 10th, you cannot risk it also. Because whatever people say, still you need marks. That's what takes you higher of the competition. It's a leverage that you have over others. And if there was not 10th exam on 11th, I would say I would have taken 3 to 4 months. But that's what extended the period. And the other thing that extended the period, I also told this to you earlier. We had perfectionism, too much perfectionism. We added features that no one wanted and no one really asked. That was also one of the main reasons for a startup's failure. If we would have launched it earlier, during November, December, during the festive season, that would have been the appropriate launch time to launch such a product, take it through the masses and test it out, then add more features. What we did was, we wanted to build this magical app which does everything. No app can do everything, but we wanted to launch this app that does everything, and it turned out into a mess. And I had to learn a lot of new things to add new features. For example, one of the features was the job automatically expires after the hiring date is done. You can fix the hiring date, and the job would automatically go private. No one asks for those features, honestly. That feature,
Right.
their presence and not presence does not make a big difference in the app. But we missed out on that feature and extended timeline. I would say it was a good journey, a lot of learning. That's what the whole thing was. One word: learning, learning, learning. You learn React today, you use it tomorrow. You learn Node today, you use it tomorrow. You learn Firebase and all the different data systems, you use it tomorrow. That was all it was.
Got it. So basically, I think I relate to this problem very much, right? No, especially what
Okay.
happened here. I come from a non-business background, right?
Same here.
Although I'm an engineer, I can't call myself a real engineer. I'm only an engineer by degree, right? And especially with building products, I had no clue of what product development really was. You have an
True,
idea,
true.
then you go to a problem validation, then you build an MVP with only the important basic features, and then you go on to build an alpha product, then a beta product, right? And then you have your major product which has all of the features, right?
Yeah, yeah.
For me to personally learn this, it took me 1 whole year, right? uh, so yeah, I mean, I can definitely relate to what you're saying, with
It's lack of knowledge, bro. It's because our society lacks knowledge in business. Business families also, most business families are all these old families. They are mostly into the software families are probably set. If your mother and father are software developers, you can ask them get help. That was also not the case here. And again, the ignorant fact, I could have asked my own mentor how to build a product, but yet I didn't do that also. That was also an ignorance factor there. But
right.
overall, it's just learning. This time I won't do the same mistakes. That's all I cope
Understood.
myself up with.
So from what I understand from what you've said about hire your choice, it was basically a platform where people could easily find lifestyle artists. It could be makeup artist, hairstylist, etc., etc., etc.
You
And
post a job,
probably,
they apply for it.
okay, they post a job, somebody applies for it, mostly like a freelancing kind of a
Exactly.
platform for lifestyle
Yeah,
artists. Okay.
yeah.
So what was your revenue model? Uh, did you had you started revenue, or were you in the
No,
process
no,
of
no.
doing? Okay.
Our revenue model was based on ads. Ads need traction. They need have traction because moreover, if you are putting commissions on a platform, already a platform is new and very nascent. Already there is no one on the platform. If you put commissions on top of it, it's really hard to bring users in. We wanted to do with ads. But for that, we need traction. And now is the right time, I guess, to say traction and all that. The traction was almost nominal. Users in a few hundreds and professionals again in hundreds. There was not a huge number of traction. The traction was very less. And the traction was because of us pressuring people to get on the platform, not due to genuine traction. I guess I understood very nicely.
Oh. And how many people were how many people signed up to your platform?
Yeah, users, I would say it's close to. I don't know the exact numbers. Okay, it's been over 7 months, but it's been over 4 to 5 months. But it was in the hundreds. Uh, Medium hundreds. Users, professionals were in again 100,
Okay.
40 something.
Okay. So was there at least one transaction or there were none?
Okay, that's the entire irony of the whole story. Except us posting jobs and us removing it, there was no actual transactions going on the platform. Even you asked the question, but people at least wanted to test it out, right? They got on the platform, they registered, they did OTP verification, all that. They got on the platform, they just completely forgot about it. And I told you an answer, but I have a better answer now. First thing is that now I'm building another app, right? I'm building on another idea. That's when I realized that Indians don't use website that much. Indians prefer using apps only when they have apps, they see it regularly, so they want to use it. And the second thing was, as we launched in a place of February, and February is the time when there's no festivals. Festivals are all over on
Correct.
January, and it's the least probable time for us to launch, but we did launch, and no one was posting jobs, and everybody just forgot about the platform because there was no familiarity. If I'm saying you, Sarang bro, order food, you will take your phone and you instantly remember Swiggy. If I say, bro, search this up, then you go instantly to Google. But that's not the case with a new startup unless you have an app or something that's really extraordinary.
Correct. I agree because I think it's the same thing with my lifestyle also. I very rarely use web apps, right? I prefer to use mobile application because it keeps me hanging on the phone. It sends me push notifications so that
Yeah, exactly,
it
exactly.
takes me back to the app. But um, I think I would not be wrong to say your startup, I would again say, successfully failed.
Yeah.
Maybe because you did not understand that there was a problem, first of all.
Or I would say, this is a line I took from Dr. Jaishankar, our foreign affairs minister. That was an extremely viral clip. People think that their problems are the world's problems and the world's problems are not their problems. That should be actually the opposite way around. Jaishankar ji said it in a very different way, in a different place, but I'm mending it to our instance.
Understood.
People think that their problem is the world's problem, but the world's problem is not their problem. But as a startup founder, the world's problems are your problems are not the market's problems. Here, there was
Very
a
well.
problem. It was, again, you told it very nicely. You saw your mother and your friend's mother and you built the app. That was a worst case scenario of us building the product. But yeah,
Very well put, man. Very well put about the world's problems are a founder's problems, but the founder's problems is not the world's problem. Very well put. So yeah, I think that was majorly why you successfully failed. But I'm very proud and happy because you have learned a lot of things, right? Especially students or kids in your age don't have enough courage to do all these things, right? But you went out there, you were a daredevil, you did things, you built an app, you forced people to use the app. And again, that's one thing you have to be happy about. It's not easy for you to convince people to use your app because I know that feeling. I've been there. So
yeah,
kudos to you on that. And probably that's how you kind of quit on hire your choice, and I think you stopped it right after you thought, okay, this is not working for you, right?
yeah,
And that
yeah.
was a very good decision, Siddharth. I'll tell you why. A lot of entrepreneurs or founders, they hang on to their idea or product even if it's not working for a long time, and they waste a lot of time, right? But it was a clever decision for you to stop working on it because you knew, okay, this is not going anywhere, maybe I have to work on something else.
On true honesty, it was a call with a mentor. I got on the call. I started shouting, "This idea is not working. I don't know what to do. Tell me a solution on how to work on it." And he was like, "Bro, chill. It won't work. I made you work on this idea because I wanted to gain some experience." I tested him every day. If I was in his place, I would have probably blocked my own number if I was in his place. Every week, this is the next $1 billion idea. This is the next $1 billion idea. He does a really good job handling it, and he told me he actually worked on the same idea a few years back in a different name. I didn't know
Okay.
it, but he gave me this idea because it was a really consumer-facing problem, and he wanted me to learn, and I did a very good job. That call changed the whole trajectory. I got off the call, I was absolutely shattered, through honesty. I wasted 1 year of my life doing nothing. But later, when after all that emotions drain off, you start realize, okay, it was not that bad. It wasn't that bad. At least I learned this. I met with this many people. I talked to this many people. I was a really shy kid before that. I was not the guy who goes and talks to random people. But now I'm in a great place. I can talk to even like how we met. We met through
Yeah.
a WhatsApp group,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that courage came from doing this only.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly why I told that you have successfully failed, right?
Right.
See, again, I think I don't know who said this, but it goes something like this. Startups fail, right? The ideas might fail, the products might fail, but the entrepreneurs will never fail, right?
Very true.
First of all, being an entrepreneur itself is a very difficult, courageous, and a lonely journey, right? And on top of that, you're building something, it's not working out for you. The the courageous, like the most courageous decision that you can take is to stop it. Because I've been building Innovact for a long time now, and I know how much Innovact means to me. If somebody asks me to stop it right away, I will not be able to do it, right? I mean, touch wood, it's working fine for us, right? So yeah, I mean, I get what you were feeling at that time. Okay, let's move on to what you're doing now. Okay,
Okay.
so tell us about your digital agency that you're running, and tell us about Pharmarx.
Okay. Digital agency. It's more than a digital agency. It's like automation and marketing, and we have added IKB to it. What I'll tell you in a simple line: we help industry experts turn their knowledge into monetizable assets. Simple
Okay.
one-liner to tell to pitch that same line to people. What we do is, for example, if Sarang, bro, you are a customer, you have knowledge in business building, you have built businesses, and you know how to do it in a community side, a B2C. And we help you make courses, bots, and all the different whole array of products from Notion templates, even the more tiniest monetization opportunities, digital products, all that. We help you build all those products. We sell it for you. That's what we do in simple words. And Pharmarx is more of the fun part, the entrepreneur 2.0 version. This time, I'll tell you, bro. I'll tell you an update. I built a website. I made a waitlist for the website. Dropped it in a few Facebook groups of pharmacists, and I got like 30 signups. Mm, Okay, okay. Now I know the product is working. And the fun thing is that I wrote it in the promotion message. All the 500 pharmacists have already registered on the startup. That had a dynamic. I don't know what happened. That was the first line. 500 pharmacists joined our app, and it's going well. 30 signups, 30 real signups. I'm very happy. And that's what PharmaRx does it. It simplifies direct access to meds in the B2B end.
Hmm. Okay, so basically with Pharmarx, what you do is you take medicines, tablets, or whatever it is, pharmaceutical materials, and you directly ship it to the pharmacies from
Yeah.
the pharma companies.
I'll tell you the problem statement. The problem is that most of us don't buy medicines from MedPlus or Apollo online. We buy it from small pharmacies. And we are getting such an inflated price. I took a survey with 75 pharmacies. And we are getting medicines 15% costlier than what they are sold from the factories. The main reason is the distributors in between them and all the hands changing. We want to connect direct this manufacturers and stockists to the pharmacies so that we get medicine at a cheaper price and the pharmacies also gain some profits.
But when you do this, won't the distributors run out of business? Is there any
Okay,
way to compensate them?
yeah, here's the fun part. Okay, I connect with the manufacturers and the pharmacies. Who's going to deliver it? Am I going to deliver from Gujarat to Ahmedabad? I live in Chennai. I cannot do that. But there are distributors who already know the place very well, and they have dynamic revenues. Their revenue is not stagnant. If they do 5 sales that day, they get 500 rupees. If they do 7 sales, it's 700. It's so much changing. but we can give them a monthly pay, and it changes a lot for them. And I also took a survey with all these distributors, and they are willing to work for a job if it pays them more than what they are earning now. And believe me, bro, they earn 15 to 20K per month. It's really easy to switch them up when your product is making some money or when you have VC's money coming in.
Okay, understood. So you are still in the MVP stage, right? You're just testing out if it's going to work out or not. Okay,
This
maybe
time
we
I'm
can.
more this time I'm more clear. I'm not even building the MVP yet. I'm just waiting for that wait list to stack in and taking more and more surveys to solidify that the world's problems are my problem or the pharma industry's problem are my problem. I'm trying to solidify the problem so that I also spoke to a VC. Again in the same group. This is a more fun story. I would say more viewers should know about the story. I connect a lot with LinkedIn people. LinkedIn is the most powerful tool for any teenager. Anybody in the world use LinkedIn because LinkedIn is the most powerful social media out there. Because all the top professionals are on the platform and connect with random people. I connected with Vakil Search, which is a Chennai-based platform, which is ITR and all that. And in the group, the same group TBC, there was a guy who wants help with Vakil Search. I hooked two people up, and the problem was solved. He was so kind. He gave me his cousin's number, who already runs a VC, which is the pharma niche. And I talked to him and got more clarity. All I did was help him up to connecting two people, and I got rewarded by the VC's number. And he just dropped me a message right now. He told me that he has forwarded the pitch deck to 4 or 5 investors who would be interested in investing in the idea, and he said he will tell me what's the response. Just me helping each other. That's the
Amazing.
power of
Yeah,
helping others.
yeah, I'm sure, and especially when you build personal relationships with people on professional networks such as LinkedIn, they take you to the next level, right? And whoever I am today and whatever connections I have mostly comes from me getting into multiple communities, providing value to them, and then, in fact, I do it on LinkedIn also, and people reach out to me for help or any kind of value provision. So yeah, fair point on what you said. And again, just a suggestion: be grounded. I mean, getting VC money is really difficult right now because they don't invest
Very
in ideas anymore. They invest in
yeah,
revenue,
exactly.
most
Yeah,
of them, right?
yeah, yeah,
And so I think you have to take more time to test your hypothesis
yeah.
about Pharmarx. And I
That
think you're very clear about that, right?
yeah. Actually, I launched it waitlist because the VC asked me what's the traction now. He told me MVP you should launch a waitlist and see the traction, and
Yeah.
that clicked. Like nowadays, there are a lot of no-code tools. There's this thing called software. Went to software, built a simple landing page with a form, connected it to Google Sheets, joined 100 different Facebook groups of pharma, launched it there, 30, 40 signups. And my goal number is about 500, the real 500, not the 500 I mentioned there, the real 500. When the real 500 hits, I know there is traction on the platform. 500 people are ready to use it. And that is good enough to convince the VC, at least one VC. And my goal is actually not the VC. The whole goal of the agency is to fund my idea. I am not in the interest of making $1 million. I'm not in the interest of buying Rolexes or Pateks. My goal for the whole digital agency and the IKP and all that is to get revenue from that and fund my own ventures. I don't want myself to be known for running an agency. I'm not going to offend anybody, but it does not sound cool. And it's not very creative. It gets repetitive. And once you go, it's like very easy, bro. I'm working with like two people. And working with two people itself, you almost know how the industry works. And both of them are the same niche, and there's not a lot of creativity going on, even though this is one of the most creative agencies you can work on. But it's not still creative enough, or it does not give you the adrenaline that a startup gives. One day, a product, one comma, you take whole product shuts down. For the next
And
4 hours, you're just trying to figure out where is that comma missing. All you know is there's a comma missing. And that adrenaline rush you don't get from an agency. Agency is a kind of safe route. If you want quick cash, start an agency, build a sample portfolio, work for two people for free, get that portfolio, people are ready to pay for you. It's pretty simple.
yeah, well,
But
that's how usually agencies work. But I slightly beg to differ. Let's not creative. I mean, they have to be creative. I have seen. I am personally in touch with a lot of agency owners, and their portfolios are very creative. It can be in terms of design. It can be in terms of
bro,
UX.
I told the creativity I told was my own version of creativity. and One thing I missed in my introduction was I read a lot of philosophy. My version of reality is so messed up. This is a problem maybe, but for because I'm working on so many different things at the same time, my mind is kind of numb to a certain extent. Creativity for me is something that is very dangerous. For example,
Okay.
like running a startup, it gives me that adrenaline. Why I told agencies are very creative, like you told. I know an agency which makes websites, gorgeous websites. One of the best websites I ever see. That's creativity, but it's not the founder's creativity. It's the design team's creativity. There's a
No, no,
start
no, okay.
difference.
I understand what you're trying to come at. Okay, so when you said creativity, it probably means something like how Steve Jobs came up with an iPhone, right?
Exactly, exactly,
And
exactly.
understood,
I couldn't place
understood.
it very well. Thank you.
Okay, got it. So I think I've got two more questions to you.
Okay.
See, you could have taken an easy route, right? Usually people in 11th or 12th, they're busy studying for JEE or CET or whatever that is, competitive exam. They want to get into IITs, NITs, but you have chosen a completely different path. So, what motivates you to get out of your comfort zone and do something where mostly your peers are not doing?
True story. Started doing all this for my IV application. I started doing all this because I was studying in a school called Chennai Public School at the time. Fantastic school, one of the best international schools in Chennai. But in that school, there's a whole culture of getting into foreign colleges. Or I was in a group where that whole ecosystem was getting into foreign college. Most people know this already right now because there's a lot of foreign content coming in India. But if you don't know, if you're going to apply for college at undergraduate level, you need to have a NGO, you need to have Bharat Ratna Award, all these incredible things to get into college. Okay. And that college may or may not give you admission if you have a good enough portfolio. So that's the whole ecosystem. So I started doing all that for that. But
Okay.
later, I loved the journey. I dropped the whole idea of foreign application. I wanted to be in India. Now I'm completely sure I want to stay in India. My goal right now, if you know this IPMAC thing, uh, IPM program in IM, it's a 5 year degree where you go to
Yeah, yeah,
IM. Yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
most my parents don't know about this yet. They want me to do engineering, but my goal is to get into the IM program. I love that program. Getting
Okay.
a MBA from IM Indore, lovely place, lovely degree. So I want to do that. And
Okay.
I started all this for IV application, but I started loving the journey and the comfort zone part. Uh, Without knowing doing something, you will never know how hard it is. There's this thing in Chennai and Tamil people. They say before going into a lake, know the depth of the lake. But I would say, without stepping your feet on the lake, how will you know how deep it is? If it's too deep and you
Correct.
start going inside, okay, it's going too deep. It's going more than my height. I'll come back. But you should not just stand outside and stare at it. Try two things, try three things, try four things. Maybe you will fail, maybe you will pass. And once you start to get into failures, okay, you get used to the feeling of failure. More, you will not even treat them as failure. People who cry about failures have not tried anything risky in their entire life. That's the first time they tried and they failed. When you do a lot of things, you fail a lot of times, they get used to it. And like entrepreneurs need to get used to the failing because when you are so like no, I won't never fail, I will never fail. No, you cannot do entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is probably not for you. You should probably go to management consulting, investment banking, other fields that help entrepreneurship, but it's not directly entrepreneurship. Try two, three different things. You will fail, but don't take it seriously. Just stay cool. Move on, try different things. Maybe you'll succeed. Once you succeed, you'll be more happy. Without
Correct.
without without failures, what is the happiness in success? Whereas constantly winning, you'll never know the feeling of failure. And
Correct.
you'll never know the power of the single success you will ever get. When I landed my first client, I was out of the world. Out of the
Hmm.
world. Putting songs on TV, dancing, removing my shirt, throwing it here and there. That's because I failed so much times. That's why the success it tastes so sweet to me.
Understood. I just love your mindset, man. I love how you speak. Okay, to be honest, because see, I never really expected this kind of a mindset from a 11th grade student. I mean, maybe think of it as a bias, but I'm really impressed by the way you speak. I'll give that to you. And it's on point what you said about failure, right? Uh, I don't think success comes without failures. There are like hardly 2 or 3 people who have not failed and have become successful, right?
Or I would say the failures are too private. Their failures
Maybe,
are too
yes.
private.
Maybe, yes. I mean, take Adani, Hindenburg. Do you know what happened between Adani and
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Hindenburg?
yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't call it a failure, but that was, uh,
Setback.
you know, yeah, that was a setback. But today Adani is still doing fine. See,
Yeah,
the reason I'm taking Adani is because, see, for me, if I fail at something, maybe I've invested a lakh or 2 lakhs. That guy is building something which is worth
thousands
lakhs,
of crores, thousands
thousands
of
of
crores.
crores, and lakhs, right? Lakhs of
Yeah,
crores,
yeah.
right? So, the kind of mindset that they need to have in order to overcome a failure or overcome a setback, I mean, that takes a different set of mindset. And, that mindset can only come from multiple failures. Okay, I know I
Yeah.
failed. I will take my learning, go do the next one, maybe fail at it once again, take my learning, go to the next one. I was actually, like watching a recent podcast, so there was an entrepreneur from Bangalore. He had failed in 6 businesses and he did not give up, right? Seventh business was like a jackpot to him, right? And now I think he's probably 45 or 50. He has retired and he has like probably $1 million or $2 million in the bank. I think he sold his last startup. And because he was persistent, right? Because he had the never give up attitude, and okay, I will take only my learnings from my failures and put all my learnings into my next venture. I think maybe that's why he was able to become successful. But yeah, anyway, what you said
And I would
about
also love to add this thing, bro. Also love to add this thing alone. It's that when you are facing a failure, when you learn something from it, it's actually not a failure. I consider that I have zero failures because I learned something from it. That is a form of success. That's a form of success. I learned a new skill, and that's a valuable skill. Now my agency runs because I already have a startup. I already had a startup and I know how B2C works. I know how B2B works. I have a website. I have screenshots of the website. I have code to show that I know how a business operates and I can work on it. And that is going to bring me money through the form of agency. It's actually not a failure. I say this to people, whatever they call me, I don't care. But I say I have zero failures in life. Unless and until I learn from that thing, it's not a failure. When a person truly fails, he gives up. He never takes any lessons from it. He just stays egoistically in his bedroom thinking that, Are yeah, leave it. Maybe this was not the part for me. God has destiny for me. God has destiny for you. That was your own destiny. You should have learned from it.
okay, that was a nice one. Okay, one quick question. Give me numbers and numbers only. uh,
Okay.
with with the agency, how much money were you able to make?
Okay, I cannot say that number. I
Oh, you
can,
cannot say the number. Give me a ballpark.
no games, no games, no games. I cannot say the numbers because my our other friend is also working on the agency, and his
Okay.
parents have absolutely no idea. If they watch this
Oh,
video, say the numbers, he will be messed up. I cannot give the numbers in any way. But I'll
okay.
tell you, I did this one. I charge market price. I charge market price. Market
Okay.
price is good enough for most Indians.
Okay. And how many clients do you have?
Like I had four. I dropped two because I wanted to focus on the other two. And
Okay.
out of the two, one was project done, project finished. It was a free project. I wanted portfolio. I
Okay.
didn't have any portfolio in the marketing niche, so I wanted portfolio, and that was an incredible process. We collected over 100,000 views on a new YouTube channel within a week, so that was a successful, and I can show it now to clients. So that
Okay.
project was closed. I told you about this story. He sold his bunch of YouTube channels and all this Snapchat
Yeah.
channels,
Yeah.
everything away. That
Yeah.
one,
Yeah. Okay.
and sorry, the other one we dropped it because the client was too pesky. He wanted more for his money, and
Okay.
that was not how agencies operate. But we have two clients, and it's going well. And I would say I'm happy
That's good.
for
Yeah.
touch
Very
wood.
good.
Touch wood.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going decent.
Very good to know.
Sorry, I cannot
Uh,
say the numbers. If you want to know the numbers, go to my LinkedIn, DM me. I'll say the numbers. I cannot say it in public.
yeah, that's a nice way to attract our audience to your LinkedIn profile. But anyway, no, I
Okay.
respect that. You have something in private. I respect that. So yeah, I think we've come to the end of this podcast. One last question: How
Sure, sure.
much? I mean, again, give me numbers. How much time in a day do you spare for learning new things?
Okay, this I can give correct numbers. I have a block the block that repeats every week. You can set this repeat task on Google Calendar. Go on not Google Calendar, and you can set repeats. I have this repeat block of 4 hours every Sunday, 4 to 8.
Okay.
That block is in every Sunday, regardless I'm in Chennai, I'm outside, I'm in Kashmir. I don't care. That 4 to 8 is time for learning. Now I'm learning TensorFlow. I told it already. I'm learning to code AI because
Hmm.
I realized no code won't take you anywhere. You need to know how the products actually works. I'm learning TensorFlow. That is my learning project. I don't learn anything in the weekday because I'm doing school. I already have less time and I don't want to overburden my brain. And how much hours I really work in a day? I work on my co-curriculars for 2 hours and I work on studies for 3 hours. It's five
Okay.
hours because 8 hours goes to sleep, 8 hours goes to school. I have 5 hours to spare. 2.5 goes to school. Sorry, three goes to school, two goes to extracurriculars right now.
Okay. Okay. That's pretty sorted, man. And it's really good that you have 4 hours a week for learning. That's really good. And after a certain point.
And every leave like Diwali holidays, everything, 6 hours to learning every leave. You spend 6 hours learning. Now Diwali is coming. I've already planned what I'm going to learn Diwali. I
Okay.
want to learn how crackers actually work in the industry. So uh, I'm gonna learn that for this Diwali.
That's good. That's good. It's pretty sorted. I think every person has to learn something or the other, some new thing or the other every day, because that's what keeps us curious as humans, right?
Yeah,
And what's the fun in life if you don't learn new things, right? Anyway,
yeah. I'm learning
we'll
this new thing from you. Probably should teach me how podcasting thing works because I saw your
sure.
podcast. The graph is this for the past
Yeah.
1 month. I went to social grade. Views are stacking up. You're doing
Yeah.
really well.
Thank
Probably
you.
should
Thank
do an IKP for you how podcasting
you.
works.
Well, for sure, we'll do that sometime, probably when I become a successful entrepreneur. And if I become a successful entrepreneur, we'll definitely do
You
it.
will, bro. You will, bro. You are impacting. We spoke about the part where people are less educated about how the startups work, and you are doing a really good job of showing people. And you are choosing the proper people to choose. You are choosing people like you and me who are not in the skies. Most people interview Kunal Shahs, most people interviews all these big startup founders. No one interviews the people who actually tried and failed or is trying, because that is where the actual learning place. Everybody can just see a great podcast with a big businessman, but you are doing the actual great stuff, giving opportunity to people who are not in the limelight, giving opportunity to people who actually can provide value.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that was the whole point of starting this podcast. I wanted to give some exposure to small-time entrepreneurs who have no exposure at all, right? Or no to very less exposure. That was the entire idea. But anyway, we are running out of time, Siddharth, so we'll have to close
Yeah,
this very soon.
sure.
Thank you so
Lovely
much.
experience.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
lovely
much for
experience.
Siddharth. Is there anything that you want to say? You got 30 seconds.
30 seconds. People, take a shotgun, shoot every bullet you have, every different action. 1 point, hit a bull or hit a tree, you'll succeed. Just keep working, hustling.
Per- Perfect. All right, Siddharth. All the best. Congratulations with whatever you have achieved, and all the best to whatever is going to
Thank you,
come.
bro. Thank you, bro.
So, guys, this is the end of this episode with Siddharth, and see you next week with another new, interesting, smart, and curious guest. Bye bye. Bye, Siddharth.
Bye bye. Bye bye.